Hello, our expose is talking about wellness education. So I'm going to be giving a brief summary on wellness education. Firstly, wellness education is not all about being free from illnesses. Wellness is primarily being in a good mental and physical health state, because mental health and physical health are closely linked. A problem which is faced in one area can affect the other one. Wellness has 7 dimensions, which are social wellness, mental wellness, physical wellness, financial wellness, environmental wellness, and vocational wellness. And in the following videos that we're going to present, we're going to be elaborating more on the following objectives, which are maintaining a healthy lifestyle, campus decency, dress code, cleanliness and hygiene, STDs, HIV and sex, stress management skills, and handling peer pressure. So all these will be seen in the subsequent videos.
The COVID-19 pandemic has triggered a mental health pandemic that will likely outlive the virus itself. The link between poverty and mental health has been recognized for years and is well evidenced. Being poor can bring about mental health problems, most commonly anxiety and depression, but mental health problems can also lead people into poverty due to discrimination in employment and a reduced ability to work. Children growing up in poor households may be exposed to stress from parental neglect, working multiple jobs, or parental conflicts, money troubles, which could lead to anxiety disorders. A lack of support may lead to low grades, which may make these children feel hopeless, lead them to be bullied, or both, and this could trigger depression. Substance abuse by teens may provide temporary escape but could lead to addiction that then traps them into a vicious circle of poverty and inequality.
That's just like cocaine like this, they are not good for students. They will disturb your brain and you start malfunctioning.
It is worth noting that half of all mental health conditions start by 14 years of age, but most cases are undetected and untreated. One experience common to these vulnerable populations, in fact to human beings in general, is trauma. Trauma may conjure up images of violence, war and other situations of extreme stress, but in fact it refers to an experience that is physically and emotionally harmful or threatening and that has lasting adverse effects on the individual's physical, social, emotional, or spiritual well-being. In fact, emerging research is suggesting that COVID-19 is also a traumatic stressor that could lead to post-traumatic stress disorder symptomology.
We're here to make sure everybody with a mental health problem has somewhere to turn for advice and support. In the past, people thought if you had a mental health problem, you would never feel better. You might meet people who still feel this. Maybe you feel this way about yourself. Mental health is just like physical health. Everybody has it and needs to look after it. You have good mental health if you're able to think, feel, and react in the ways that you need and want. You might need support with your mental health if you are finding the way you're thinking, feeling, or reacting is more difficult or even impossible to cope with. This might be because of things that are happening in your life right now. A traumatic event may affect your mental health in a big way too, even years later. We are all different. Everybody experiences a huge variety of feelings, thoughts and emotions as part of their normal life. But how and when we have them can be really different depending on who we are. Some of us can find these harder to cope with. This can be because of our upbringing and childhood, past experiences, or the things happening in our lives right now. That's why it's important that only you, someone who knows you really well, or someone who is qualified, gets to say when you need help. If your feelings, thoughts and reactions are getting in the way of how you want to live, if you feel things aren't right, if you feel like you need help, you can ask for it. We're not going to pretend it's easy. Mental health problems can change your life, and for some they can be overwhelming. We're going to face it with you. We'll listen, give support and fight your corner.
Children of all ages experience peer pressure. Most people think peer pressure is a bad thing, involving stealing, smoking, taking drugs, drinking alcohol. Some peer pressure can be good. It can be just the push your child needs to join a new club at school, try a new sport, study for better grades, or attend college. Good and bad peer pressure is common. Your child wants to be liked and to do the right thing. As a parent, you can help your child deal with peer pressure and make good choices at every age and stage. Understand negative peer pressure. Your child wants to fit in, doesn't want to feel rejected or teased, and isn't sure how to get out of a bad situation. Start early by preparing your young child for peer pressure. For example, if a friend or classmate pressures them to take something that doesn't belong to them, teach your child how to say no and walk away.
Concern peer pressure. Here we talk about issues, someone who has been pressurized, always been pressurized, talking to a friend, talking to a parent.
Seriously, when I have the pressure me to get now, it's really easy. When go closer. Mama, I have this kind of mind that is really pressurizing me to get an iPhone. I really don't like it. I've told her that stop me if you have the money, must you even get the iPhone? Must you use the same phone? Like, dear, be yourself, okay? Don't try to control other people. I feel like, yes, that's what you do.
Teens and risk-taking. What did you think of when I said that?
Most people think of house parties and binge drinking, smoking weed under the bleachers, unsafe sex, or fighting and violence.
In other words, a bunch of bad things. But really, growing up is nothing but a series of risks that we take. From our first steps and our first words, to learning to ride a bike or asking someone out on a date. Each time we try something new, we're taking a risk. And we need support to navigate these risks well.
For parents, teachers, counselors, and the other adults who work with young people, every day presents a new opportunity for us to support healthy risk-taking.
That means being there to answer questions without stigma or shame, supporting us when we try on new values or identities, letting us make mistakes so we can learn from them, celebrating when we succeed. Most of all, adults who are the best at encouraging healthy risk-taking and growth, they listen.
And listening is key, because young people know their day-to-day worlds better than anyone else. Trusting them to make their own choices is critical for building their confidence and life skills. Without taking risks, teens have trouble developing into capable adults. It's everyone's job to make sure that they are supported and safe so they can grow up to be healthy, not just physically, but emotionally, socially, and more.
Given that society thinks of risk-taking so negatively, it makes sense that adults want to limit or even get rid of risks altogether, but that's not what we need. Yes, there are unhealthy risks that all of us need to avoid: drug and alcohol use, unsafe sex, and violence. But healthy risks, good risks, the kind that challenge us to expand our horizons, those are so important for our learning, for growth.
Comprehensive sex ed is based on the idea that public health improves when students have a right to learn about their sexuality and to make responsible decisions about it. Research shows it works to reduce teen pregnancies, delay when teens become sexually active, and reduce the number of sexual partners teens have.
Okay, concerning HIV, STDs, and sex, to abstain from those things, we have to protect ourselves by using prudence. That's when we talk of prudence, talk of condom to avoid diseases. And then when it concerns sex, for us teenagers or for the teenagers, you just have to abstain from sex.
Some people, particularly parents and religious groups, take issue with comprehensive sex ed because they believe it goes against their cultural or religious values, and think that it can have a corrupting influence on kids. They say that by providing teens with this kind of information, you are endorsing and encouraging sex and risk-taking. Some opponents also argue that this type of information should be left up to parents to teach their kids about and shouldn't be taught in schools.
Concerning cleanliness, we have to make sure we keep our environment clean, like maybe picking the dirt around, sweeping, and so on and so forth,
To prevent mosquitoes or dirty illness. And we cannot study in a dirty environment.
very important. Okay, when it concerns campus cleanliness, this has to do a lot with picking of dirt around, keeping the environment to avoid mosquitoes, avoid dirtiness. We cannot study in a dirty environment. When it concerns hygiene, after picking up dirt, your hands are always dirty. So we do some washing. After washing, we make sure we use a hand sanitizer to sanitize our hands. And then from there, after washing your hands, you make sure you take hand sanitizer to sanitize your hands to avoid cholera outbreak and to avoid COVID-19.
School dress codes are policies that mandate how students should dress in school. They vary from school to school, district to district.
Campus decency and dress code. You are not supposed to come to school with knickers, short knickers, and then you don't put on trousers that have maybe lines or destroys at the knee and slippers. This is the proper dressing code. Complete set, at least put on your shoes, wear your long trousers, and then something that cover your body. That makes you decent.
Dress codes that prohibit gang-related clothing or clothing that others may find offensive or distracting helps create an environment where students can focus on their education rather than distracting or dangerous clothes. From minor challenges to major crises, stress is part of life. And while you can't always control your circumstances, you can control how you respond to them. When stress becomes overwhelming, or it's chronic, it can take a toll on your well-being. That's why it's important to have effective stress relievers that can calm your mind and your body.
Concerning release of stress, it has to do more on exercises. You relax your muscles, you take a deep breath, and then maybe you have a pause, slow down.
Some stress relief strategies are: meditate, practice progressive muscle relaxation, take a walk, get a hug from a loved one, eat a balanced diet, make time for leisure activities. Wrapping up, health is everything and there's not an ounce of doubt about it. You can study if you are healthy. You get to party with friends if you are healthy. You can work if you are healthy. So, focus on your mental and physical health before everything. And wellness education is one of the most effective ways to welcome a healthy lifestyle into your life.